Hello, mic test, mic test. Hello, and welcome guys to the 79th edition of the Trading Opportunities webinar. This is Nirav, and just give me a minute while I check the technicalities before starting the actual webinar. All right, so looks like at my end the audio is working fine, the video feed is going on, and so let's now officially start. So, hello and welcome guys to the 79th edition of the Trading Opportunities webinar. This is Nirav, and 1 second, let the disclaimer be on screen. And before we proceed, let me just get done with the legalities here. So first of all, on screen we have the disclaimer suggesting all content presented here is for educational purposes. I'm not soliciting buy or sell. If you do go on to use the views presented here for your trading or investing or any other purpose, you yourselves will be liable for your profit, your loss, or loss of profit. With the legalities out of the way, now let's get started with a very quick introduction. So as you guys already know, my name is Nirav. I'm the admin and owner of the website 50eyes.com and the YouTube channel 50eyes Market Analysis, where this broadcast is currently being done live. You can go to the live section and check. And secondly, it's also being broadcasted on the LinkedIn feed. So those of you joining in for the first time, we go live every Friday at 2 p.m. GMT or 7:30 p.m. IST. Right. So in case you want to join me live during these market hours and check these trades right as we talk about them, then you need to be joining in at these times. Right. So previously in the 77 webinars, we have got 119 live trades, which we have discussed. 119 trades we have got. What happened in the 78th webinar, we will check today in our 79th update. Right. And before proceeding with the webinar, the general way we proceed is we go over the charts of Euro, followed by crude, gold, S&P, Nifty, and BTC. Right. And lastly, I just like to show off the track record of the forecast analysis that I've done since 2016, 83.34, 2017, 87, 2018, 84.6, 84.8, 2019, 2020, 88.5, 2021, 82.2, and 2020 to 2023 onwards, we are doing these regular weekly webinars. So it's like too many updates. So I'm just keeping them in a playlist so you can check them yourselves. So for 6 consecutive years, the accuracy is above 80%. That's basically what I wanted to point out. You can go ahead and check it yourselves at 50is.com/forecast accuracy. So with the quick introduction out of the way, let's now head with the actual webinar content. So first of all, let's have a look at the chart of Euro USD. And here on screen, we have the chart. I did make some updates here. Let me see if this was the one or this was the one. Let me just quickly refresh the page and see which chart had the actual last updates, which I did. There it is. So on Euro USD, my view currently is that this market is currently in a sort of corrective structure to the downside. The view may change, but currently, out of all the possibilities, this looks to be the most likely scenario. Now, the thing to be noted here, or the thing of importance, is that I'm currently thinking of it as a WXY correction, which if I draw it over here in the rough area, should look like this. W down will have A, B, and C, a structure like this, roughly speaking. Then there will be an X, and then there will be a Y. So currently we have the W complete over here. X is most likely continuing either sideways. That is, it will continue within this range of 1.09458 and 1.07657. Possibly some minor range extension might even be there. But the other possibility is that it can still go up as a zigzag, which I think is one of the main scenarios. As you can see here, A wave up, B wave down, and then C leg up for the completion of the X. So something like that might be going on as A wave up, a B wave down, and a C wave up. And we can also count the internals: 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, 4 down, and 5 up. So that makes me believe that the zigzag scenario is the main possibility here on Euro USD chart. Right. With that being said, that basically means that I'll be looking for long entries only around what is this 1.091, or let's just type it down. Somewhere around this level, I'll be looking for long entries. Might enter beforehand if I get a clear conviction or clear setup. But for now, let me just properly label this. So for now, this is my main count: A up, B down, and C up. Once this C leg is complete, we should again see a downward movement, which should take out the low of 1.07647. Right. With that being said, the C leg, we have the target region established inside 1.102 and 1.108. This is the target region I'm expecting the market can go if it is in within the wave C progression as we are talking right now. Second possibility is that the correction is already complete here, or it is just going to go sideways, in which case it will not take out the high of wave A, which is 1.095458, sorry, and in which case it can just go down from here. Less likely scenario because I don't have any confirmation for it yet. But if something like that happens, I have an alert placed at roughly near the lows, right? This is not an entry alert, so I wouldn't really talk much about it. This is just an alert said if the market goes lower than that level, I'll just come back in and look at it. So long story short, the overall trend I believe is to the downside. Short term, we are expecting some upward movement. Some upward movement which should be followed by bigger downward movement. Or it second scenario, this is our hyper one by the way. Some upward movement followed by downward movement, and the second hypothesis is straight down is also possible, which will be our second or low probability count at this point in time. So with that, I believe I have discussed euro with as much detail as required. And now let's head over to our second chart of crude oil. Of course, if you are in the live chat, you can also type in your questions and queries, and I'll look them up and try to answer. So this is the chart of WTI crude oil West Texas Intermediate. This is the one we are following. Sorry. So the updated counts last time we discussed, I was expecting upward movement. We were discussing this last time. The date was August of 25th of August. Sorry. So on 25th of August, we were discussing this, and the price was somewhere around. Let's see, somewhere within this range, right? The idea was that this market had come down to the 38.2 retracement level. If the market is to reverse, then the wave 4 generally does reverse from the 38.2 retracement level. So basically, that was the idea that we were expecting the market to go up from this level, right? Price is somewhere around, let's say, 80.09 or 80.1, let's say. And the target was that it should take out the high, at least that's the minimum target, 84.94, let's say. This was the target. Now, as you can see, within this 1 week, the market has done precisely that. It has gone up by little more than almost 5 point something. So let's say 5% something. And our target was around 4.95%. Sorry, 4.95 points. Sorry about that. And the percentage value is somewhere around 6.7%. So we have captured 6% of this leg up. And that was all in the public webinar. I'm not even talking about the private Slack group updates, right? So this works out, and this gives a +1 to our analysis from last session. Now let's have a look at what is happening in the current session. Let's go to a lower time frame. So it looks like we are in a possible impulse in the upward direction. The idea is that currently I'm looking for long trading opportunities, but since we are in the wave 3, we are looking for the wave 4 correction before entering any. Let me remove this because it is incorrect at this point in time. So yes, as I was saying, an impulse in the other direction would roughly look something like this, right? So as you can see there, we have the wave 1 up, circle degree, 2 down, and this is the point of interest, the 3 circle degree. So the wave 3, if you magnify it, should look something like this. But it should have 5 waves inside of itself. That is exactly what we have in the double bracket 1 inside of circle wave 3, double bracket 2 inside of circle wave 3, so on and so forth, double bracket 3 inside of circle wave 3. So now that brings us to our area of interest. We have completed this part. So that means a correction as a double bracket 4 is remaining, which will then take the market higher. That is exactly what I am looking to wait for, the correction for the double bracket wave 4, right? Once we see that, I'll look for longs, perhaps even short-term counter trend trade, that is selling the market for this wave 4 is also possible. But as I said, the main direction is up, and I'll be looking for longs once I have confirmation that this wave 4 is complete. Right. So with that being said, we can also figure out some quick targets for this. The only thing being here, we don't have the exact end of wave 3. That is, we do not have a reversal yet. So these targets will need to be corrected in accordance. Right. What I'm saying basically here is that we don't know if this is the end of wave 3. It could be. So if assuming this is the end of wave 3, we expect the market to go somewhere around 84.662. And if it goes lower than to 84 levels before reversing to the upside, right? And if the market goes up above, then these targets will also be have to be adjusted and moved up. These are basically the 23.6 and 38.2 retracements, Fib retracements specifically. With that being said, long story short, the idea is we wait for a pullback to be followed by an up move, right? And we can look to trade the pullback as well because we have targets for it, but we do not have a confirmation yet. So we wait for it, the confirmation to the downside. So I think that's about it for the discussion on crude oil. Again, if you have any doubts or questions and you are in the live chat, you can just post them in the live chat section. Heading over to our next chart, which is gold. This is the one we are following, yes. So gold, last time when we discussed, we were, 1 second, where were we? 25th of August. So we were somewhere here. Somewhere here we were when we last discussed gold. The idea was that this market should go up temporarily because it was a counter trend movement. And once the upside is complete, then we will expect the market to give a bigger pullback, which you can see with this red arrow on the bottom right here in the circle. Right. So long story short, the short term wise, we were expecting upward movement, but the overall trend was bearish. Throughout the week, I followed through with the count and I was able to predict this leg up at minor levels. And more specifically, I was able to take this trade in the other direction. Right. By the time I was posting this webinar's announcement image, which was like 4 or 5 hours ago, my view was that this market will go up because I was long. And by the time I got the webinar announcement published, it had already achieved the target. So I'll just go over the actual trade and show you what I am actually talking about so that things are more clear here. So this is the private Slack group. And here is the post made yesterday that I have added longs, and this is the analysis. So I was expecting that the market will either go straight up or basically give a correction and then up, as you can see in this count. But I had added longs because I did not want to miss if the market went straight up around 1946 something. But afterwards, what happened is the market, this is the stop loss, the market started going lower than 1946. That was expected. It went to 1940 something, roughly 6-7 points lower. After that, let's see what happened. This is updated analysis. The market is moving as expected. I did more long. So yeah, today before publishing the webinar announcement, I added more longs on this counter. Again, I entered around 1946.02. So let's say 1946. Target was very small. The target was the 1951 level. And not specifically small, but not that big either, just about 5 points. Target hit book profits on longs after about 15 minutes, roughly speaking, of entering the second long entry. The target was hit and I exited. So this was our trade, entry 1, entry 2, and target was hit. So this was all published and followed through during live market in our Slack private group. And this is exactly what I was discussing when I was pointing all that out on the actual chart. Those of you not much aware, the Slack private group, you can request details for access as it is now available to people on request only basis. Those interested can go to the website and the contact us page 50s.com/contact us and type in the subject matter as request details for Slack membership access. So, anywho's, the idea was when I was posting it that I will be capturing this upward movement, and that upward movement I was not aware when it will happen. Most likely these movements happen near the US Open, but in this case it happened a bit earlier. So long story short, the upside base minimum movement is already complete. So now let's have a quick look at the trade opportunities, or let's say things that are on chart now, right? Now, first of all, I have is I think the 4 may have completed here, right? And if that's the case, the 5 has completed here, the C has completed here. Now that brings the possibility that this market is now heading lower, right? I'll just push the alert a little bit lower for this. So that's your first possibility. That this market is now headed in the downward direction. Now the second idea that I have right now here is that perhaps the wave 4 is still continuing as a flat structure. A flat structure will look something like this. It's also labeled as A down, B up, and C down. So if you just check it with the actual chart, you can call this the A down, B up, and C down. However, the C is much sharper than what we would generally expect in a flat structure, but it is possible. So in which case we can move the wave 4 over here and the wave 5 up is still remaining. Now this is a possibility. We do not have any confirmation for it yet. So what I'll do is I'll place an alert around 1946.3, which is basically near the highs. If the market does cross this level, then I'll just have a relook at the chart. But realistically speaking, if it does go back up that high, then the chances of it following this count increases substantially. In that case, we'll be following it like this. Or this will be the primary hypothesis that the market is heading higher for the wave 5. Long story short, either the wave 4 is still continuing as a flat and then it will have one leg up remaining. That's one hypothesis. The second hypothesis is that the 4 is already complete and the fifth is already complete, and then we have a strong downward movement in play, right? We do not have the confirmation for that yet. I will be interested in considering that possibility below 1932 level, right? Specifically actually below 1931 level, or let's say 30 level. So below 1930, I'll be specifically interested in considering the selling or sell short opportunity. So I'll just move it there as well. Right. So let's just conclude this discussion. We have two hypotheses here. Hypothesis one is suggesting that this wave 4 is complete, this wave 5 is complete, and this market is headed lower. We wait for a confirmation. Secondly, we can also enter minor positions here and then add more once we have the confirmation. Let's say like 10 or 20% of the position size. Let's say if you add 10 lots, then go in with one lot short only, and as the market goes lower and hits your confirmation, you can add more. Right. So primary hypothesis is down. Secondary hypothesis is that one leg up is remaining before down. So secondary hypothesis is in the opposite direction. So basically, in a situation like this, we really have to wait for a proper confirmation. Right. And as far as the confirmations go, as we discussed, just to conclude again, hypothesis one suggesting down, we are interested below 1930 level. Yeah, there it is. Below 1930, we will be interested in hypothesis one, and hypothesis two, we will be interested in it above 1946. So this basically concludes our analysis on gold. And as I said, just to repeat, since both these hypotheses are pointing in the upward and downward, or what you call opposite directions, it is better to wait for confirmations rather than jumping the gun and going with some half confirmed trades or low probability trades, I should say. Right. With that being said, we are done with the analysis of gold. And before we move forward, I'd like to request that all of you who are finding this content useful do hit the like button and subscribe if you are new here. And lastly, the views, they have not really improved that much, and for that I would need what you will call your efforts. So if you have trading groups or traders who are in your Slack, Discord, WhatsApp, Telegram, or whatever you use, I would highly appreciate if you can share it. Right. So once again, definitely hit the like button if you are liking the content, and your contribution towards making this webinar more popular will be very helpful. So kindly share the content as much as possible. With that being said, let's now head over to our next chart, which is the chart of S&P's 500. Again, I had a trade on this one. The gold trade and S&P trade, actually both of them hit the targets right at the same time. I'll probably share that as well. One second. So S&P, we have the live trade. Let's just start with the trade and then show you what I was doing and how I managed the position. So again, this was whole thing was posted in the Slack private group, and where's the first entry? Yeah, there it is. Target hit book profit on longs. I did longs. That's another trade. Yeah, there it is. So for the last trade, again we had multiple trades on S&P, which were in the upward direction. And this is the last trade which I want to discuss. I did partial longs with the idea to add more on 4 continuation. So I did a bunch of longs because my view was that this market is going to go and hit this purple target line. Again, the target is very small. So the idea was that it can give a pullback. So I added only partial entries, and as the market will go lower, I look to add more and more until it reaches the target like this. Right. So that was the main or base idea. In situations where the target is very small, you really have to be very careful with the position size. So added more longs as wave 4 looks complete as flat structure, then stop loss 4500, then these are just intermediate dates. So far so good. This was today, and then the target was hit and profits were booked as the market touched the 4534 level, as you can see on the right hand side here. So this was the quick trade on S&P, and as I just discussed the whole reasoning of the same on the posted charts, but we'll discuss them on the actual charts, right? And before I move further ahead, again, those of you who are joining in new and do not know, this Slack group is private and accessible via request mode. If you are interested, you can request 50s.com/contact us and subject matter requesting details on how to access Slack group or something like that, and you will be provided the details. So with that being said, that was the quick trade on S&P. Interesting trade because I was holding it for roughly 24 hours, actually a little less than 24 hours, but I was holding this for overnight for such a small movement really. But as I scaled in at lower levels, it really did give out something substantial. But anyways, now let's go ahead and discuss the current counts on S&P. So currently what we are seeing on chart is that there is a possibility that this wave 5 is already complete. Actually, I think it may have been complete here unless this is following some other count. So I'll just place a quick alert here near the lows, and then we'll discuss what is the real count and the upcoming setups for this counter. That looks weird in itself. Let me just correct a few things here and remove the alerts. So I recall I was able to predict this diagonal in live market, capture this leg down, and then trade this leg up part by part. But anyways, let's discuss what we are thinking right now on this counter. The idea is that we have a 1 here as a diagonal, 2 here, 3 here. This is possibly the 4 complete, and this is the 5th complete. The thing is that comparatively speaking, the 5th is very, very small, while 1 and 3 are so extended or so long. So that brings the idea. See, first of all, let's just go with what we have on screen. If the impulse is complete in the direction of the upside, that is an impulse of 5-wave move in Elliott Wave terminologies, if it is complete already, then we should see a corrective structure to the downside. So theoretically speaking, an impulse is complete. Let me remove this alert. So theoretically speaking, the impulse is complete. So that basically means we can see a downward movement in this counter. It should take it lower by some level, which should be in 3 waves, and I'm assuming it will be somewhere around 44.96 level, roughly speaking. To let's not discuss the minimums here because I think it will be somewhere within this range, but it should be a little bit bigger. So long story short, if this is the actual count, we expect move something like this till 44, 90, 94, 95, something level like that, right? The second thing which I want to discuss is, as I said, I do not really like this analysis very much. The 5 is very small comparatively speaking, and hence there is a possibility that this is just heading higher much with the nested 1-to-1 formation. So this basically means that we are still within this wave 3. But if you extend this wave 3, as we have discussed earlier, Elliott waves are fractal in nature. It will have 5 waves of itself inside of it. They will be called, let's say, dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, dot 4, and dot 5. So it is possible that we only have the dot 1 here, and this was just dot 2. And this is the beginning of dot 3. So this is the super bullish outlook on S&P. Again, as I said, we do not really have the confirmation for this either, but this will be a simple one, right? If the market really does go near the last hour, basically if it breaks above the last hour, then I'll definitely be interested in taking longs for this super bullish scenario, and definitely will be entering some position, because if this is the case, then this is the wave 3 of the 3, which is supposed to be the strongest leg in indexes and stock markets. So what I'm basically saying that within this pink colored impulse up, we have magnified the wave 3 circle, right? In this, we will have dot 1, dot 2, and dot 3. So this dot 3 will be this middle part, right? Where here, this dot 3 will be something like this part. And this is generally the strongest move in the whole impulse, right? Let me just remove the clutter so that you can probably understand it better. So what I'm saying is that this yellow circled part is generally the strongest move, and if we really do go higher than 4532, let's say the last high 4540, and the count is correct, then we are most likely going to see the strongest move in the entire in this progression actually. So I'm definitely interested in taking longs if the market does allow us to. And on the second or the hypothesis 2 side, we have already discussed that the impulse is possibly already complete. In the color for this, yes, so the impulse is already complete here, 3, 4, and 5, and then we are heading lower. We'll be interested in shorts below 4508 something something. So long story shorts, upside huge potential for profits, downside no confirmation yet. We wait for the mentioned level. Upside, we are putting an alert at 4532, but specifically 4540 plus level is in itself a confirmation unless this count is incorrect. Right, with that being said, we are done with our analysis of the S&P. Again, as you guys know, if you are liking the content, do not forget to hit the like button, and specifically make sure that you are sharing the content with your friends, colleagues, or groups where other traders come in, so that we get much more wider audience, and I can bring more value content to you guys. Right, so that was our coverage of the S&P's 500. Now let's head over to our next chart, which will be the chart of Nifty's 50, and a lot of clutter here, so let me just make things simpler for you. So Nifty 50, we were discussing last time and last to last time and last to last time for a long time basically. Our idea has remained the same, that as long as this market sustains below this green channel, I'm looking for selling opportunities only. Based on that, we have captured multiple trades. We captured part of this leg down. We captured parts of this leg down, and I was actually able to trade this leg down as well. Right. With that being said, let's now just check what is the analysis which we are currently following and how things can be proceeding from now on. So actually, let me just actually check the dates here. 25th August was the last discussion. Somewhere here was the last discussion. Let's just mark it. So from this point of reference, around 19,990, we have marked the correction continuing to the downside as W down, X up, Y down. In the last webinar, my view was that X is possibly complete here. If not, it will go sideways and then give one more leg, which should take out the market slow, which was 19 to 31. So I was expecting something like this, right? So it actually did go like this, went up and then down. However, the downside movement is very, very small. It did take out the low. So practically speaking, it has done everything we discussed. It has taken the target. It has hit the target. It has made the movement in the specific way which we were expecting it to move, right? So it has done all the right things with all the correct counts already placed there. So one thing that comes to my mind is that perhaps this market may have one more leg remaining to the downside. That is, firstly, let's say hypothesis one, you can say that the downside is complete, right? Wave Y is already complete. So if the wave Y is already complete, then that means this is the placement for the Y. Right? Technically, the upside confirmation will be if the market takes out the wave X high. That will be the level of 19,585. Right? That's let's say not one. Let's call this the hypothesis two. and it is pointing in the upward direction. Hypothesis one, which I believe is the case or may be the case, is that this is heading lower for the wave A down. This is the flat for the B, and this will be the C following for the downward movement as the completion part for wave Y. What I'm really talking about here from this point of reference around 19,585 is I'm talking about the structure called zigzag structure. The first leg down is called an A, correction up is called an B, and the next leg down is called a C. And the C always takes out the low of wave A. So it will also take out this recent low. And with that being said, this in this case will be a regular flat structure because it has gone within this range quite nicely. Right? If it sustains higher than this range, that it sustains somewhere here in the next session, then it will be a little bit of what do you call more convincing to say that it is following hypothesis 2 perhaps rather than 1. So concluding it again here is that hypothesis 1 is suggesting more downside is remaining. Hypothesis 2 is suggesting upside is remaining. So again, we have a view where both our hypotheses are pointing in completely different directions. So in this case, we have a clear conviction for hypothesis 2. I have already marked this level. Above this, I'll be saying that we have stronger bias for it and look for trades accordingly. And for hypothesis 1, as I said, if it's going lower for the wave C, then I believe we should have more clarity soon. But for now, since we do not have the exact clarity, I like to place my alerts at the support level around 19,332. So below 19,332, I'll be interested in taking sell shorts. Of course, the confirmation may come beforehand as well, but that's where I specifically will be interested. Same goes for upside. I'm just putting not a trade alert, just an alert to notify me. So that's about it for our discussion on Nifty's 50. We have discussed both the upside and downside and the possibilities for further movement. And of course, we were able to capture the down moves for last 3 weeks or so something. And analysis has been working really, really well on this chart as well. So if you want to catch more of these free updates, do make sure to tune in the next webinar, which we conduct every Friday at 2 p.m. GMT, 7:30 p.m. IST. Now let's head over to our last chart, which will be the chart of BTC. And yeah, guys, before I move forward with the last chart, again, a request to those of you who are joining in late, do not forget to hit the like button and share the content after the webinar is complete with your friends, colleagues who might find it helpful. We definitely need as many views as possible so that I can continue bringing more quality content to you guys. So this is the last chart of BTC. I was able to, let me remove this. So I was able to, what do you call, capture this in our private group. Let me just show you what the count really is. Basically, when we saw this spike up, this was the count I came up with, or this was the updated count that this is possibly a ABC, XABC, or a WXY correction in the downward direction. Quite similar to what we have in Nifty. I mean, not the exact structure, but yeah, the pattern is similar to what we have in Nifty. So in this particular case, what we have is that the Bitcoin structure gave this strong spike, right? Those of the people who just saw the momentum in this leg, I mean, anyone would be thinking of this as an impulse in the other direction. They may have jumped the gun and entered longs, and now they are stuck, right? They are stuck because the market has completely reversed. So let me just elaborate what is really happening here. So I'm basically talking about how market, let's just say manipulation works. It's kind of a broad term. You can say how the markets move also instead of using the word manipulation. But let's see how this played out in this particular case. So first of all, for instance, let's say you are a breakout trader. So you will generally enter the market on the break of this high. In this particular case, the market broke the high extremely fast, right? So you may have been able to get your entry is filled if you had already placed an limit order or trigger order, I should say. And if it was filled, you would have been long, right? Now, what happened afterwards after you went long was the market completely. Let me just first show where the entries were. So the entries were here, here, here. Somewhere within these ranges, you may have gotten filled. After you got filled long, the market has completely reversed and taken out the base or the low, start of the move, basically, I should say, which is somewhere around 25,900. So you may be holding it till here. That is, you just actually, in this case, some people were holding it till here, right? Which is the level of 25,758. And the reason it is so very clear is because you can see here the market hit those stop orders, right? And this is the spike which formed. You're getting my point. You were long, you had stop losses placed here, so the market basically went there down and hunted your stop losses, came back up, and now it is preparing for further downward movement. So why was I using the term manipulation here? It is basically said that this is the same what you call operator who is operating both ways. He wanted to add more to his portfolio for the downward movement. So before taking the market lower, he wanted to add more sell contracts. So he lured people in to buy as much as they could, and then he shorted the market here, taking them out and then buying it back from them. So perhaps if you had followed me in the last 2 3 webinars, I had discussed it in much more detail in one of the past webinars. I'll probably take the part out of it. 73rd webinar, I think it was. So perhaps you should check the 73rd webinar or 74th, somewhere around that. I have discussed this concept in much detail. It basically comes from the composite market operator theory. So now coming back to the actual analysis, what we have here with Bitcoin is we have a sell setup basically. Now let's just discuss the count for the sell setup. The count is that we are in a WXY progression. So from this point of reference around the price level of 31828, we have the W here. The axis probably excuse me. So the axis probably complete, or it may even continue sideways within this range. It does sometimes extend the range as well, like it may go a little bit above it as well. But we don't have anything like that in evidence rate. This is in itself very strong leg down. So in any case, either the axis complete here. If that's the case, this market will just go lower from here. Minimum is that it will take out the wave W low, which is around 25,360. If it continues sideways here, then we expect it to give a much lower or bigger downward move. Why? The more time the market takes to acquire shorts, or the more time the market spends sideways in a congestion or zone or range, stronger generally the move is, right? Personal observation of mine, you may have also observed the same. You can actually see it over here on live chart. Market spend a lot of time within this range between 28580 to 30340, and look at the substantial downward movement after that. So same story goes here. Currently we have only this much of a zone. If it extends in time, more time leads to more price. That's basically what I'm saying. So long story short, we'll be looking for shorts altogether, swing perspective, right? It is actually a short entry right now. Perhaps I will take some minor shorts after this webinar is complete. And the targets will be, as I said, bare minimum is 25,346, right? Let me just go to 4 hour and see if I have something more substantial to add here. So after that, the target will be around 24,750 something. I won't go ahead with any more targets because it does look like overall a flat structure may be in play. in which case the target or downside may not very well be very big. The second thing is, okay, I'm taking A's as a flat structure anyways. Yes. So in flats, generally you expect the market to stop near the low, which is around 24750. So somewhere within this range. Few points above this low or a few points below this low. Yes, just keep that in mind that after the T minimum 25360 something, we have this big range which can extend to around 24,300 roughly speaking. So Bitcoin is short from short-term perspective. So if you like the content, guys, just hit the like button. 100% make sure to share the content in your private groups, public groups, whatever may help us reach more people, so that I can keep bringing more quality content to you. And of course, I cover all of that stuff in my private Slack group on much regular basis via my regular updates in my Slack group with charts, commentary, etc., and my own trades, entries, exits, etc., etc. So if you want to become a member, as I said 2 times already in the webinar, you can visit 50s.com/contact us and use the subject matter as requesting detail for the private Slack group. So that's about it for guys for this webinar, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you will tune in the upcoming sessions as well. So I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care. Bye.